Thank you. I'd like to call the Skagit Transit Board of Directors for August 16, 2023 to order. The time is now 11 a.m. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll. I am Jill Boudreau, Mayor of Mount Vernon and Chair of the Skagit Transit Board.
Commissioner Browning. Commissioner Janicki.
Here.
Commissioner Wiesen.
Here.
Mayor Boudreau.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mayor Sexton.
Here.
Councilperson Aslett. Councilperson Holst. Judy Jones. And Colin Kennedy.
All right, thank you. Before we go into our other agenda items, I was not present at the last board meeting, so I wanted to give the board a few updates just so that you have the information. Wanted to make sure that the board knew that Mayor Miller and I are meeting weekly with the executive director to be updated on what's going on with the agency, ask questions, and provide some oversight during the transition of a new director. Number two, Clark Newber is a public accounting firm. They have been contracted to assist with the finance functions. I have asked specifically that not only are they looking at the reporting and assisting with getting that out, but that they're looking at efficiencies of our current processes to identify things that we could do better. Third thing is that I've asked the staff to assemble all of our governance documents. That includes bylaws, amendments to the bylaws, any resolutions, so that it's all in one place. The intention is that by the end of this year, we'll be having a board retreat or a conversation around bylaws, processes, things that we might want to change. So just know that that's occurring and we'll have something come out before the end of the year on the conversation around that. I've also asked staff to look into putting the recordings of our board meetings on our website. So they're working on that. I think that is just helpful to have the actual recording. Minutes can only record so many things. So I think that would be very helpful. And I've asked for them to at least be able to post the 2023 meetings and then moving forward, posting as we go along. And then lastly, just wanted to let the board know that I did have a conversation with Colin Kennedy. Yes, was that yesterday? Feels like a few days ago. Yesterday. And just wanted to reiterate to her that I am willing as the board chair to sit down with the union group to listen to any concerns and happy to make myself available. So we may be working on that. I'll kind of put that in the hands of the labor group. And then also just to reiterate that we'll make sure that there's a continuation of very consistent labor management meetings just for conversation going forward. So I didn't know if the board had any questions about that. I just felt that you needed an update on kind of what the board chair is doing along with my vice chair. So any questions? Great.
Should we add chair report as a standing agenda item there in that slot?
That might be a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. So if staff could make a note, we'll add just a board chair report. Great suggestion. Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 4 is our public comment. We're welcome. If there's anyone here, we'll start it present first. Anyone for public comment? You're welcome to step to the podium. Please state your name. Comments around 3 minutes or so. Is that working as far as getting onto Zoom?
Now it's working.
There you go.
My name is Ron Jensen. I reside in Cedar Woolley, just north of it. And I am also an employee of Skagit Transit. So I was here last week and I asked about the non-voting board member getting paid for her meetings. In this case, it's her. And I don't see it on the agenda form this time. and it has been taken care of. On Wednesday, March 16th, 2016, 4 of you sitting here today voted that was going to happen. Ms. Aguirre moved to pay the union representative the regular wages to attend the monthly board meetings. Mr. DeGoria seconded the motion. The motion was passed with Mr. Reagan opposing. So that happened a few years ago, and we've been paid up to this year. And all of a sudden it stopped. So I just want to encourage you again, at the board member get paid. A motion was made, a second was made, and it was passed. You made an action. It should be paid. It's that simple. I'd like to see that happen. There's I was looking through the minutes from last board meeting, and I think the statement, Mr. Kennedy read a statement from a union expressing dissatisfaction with the current leadership. I think that's sugarcoating a little bit. I think that very clearly was said it was a vote of no confidence, and that should certainly be in the minutes. I'm also surprised at either her letter or her statements was not included in this. I find that a disservice to her that was not done. So I asked for that to be included. I'm a guy that's pretty much by the rules. I try to encourage that. And I have seen a lot of emails, public requests from Skagit country of governments, SCOG. And I'm concerned when I see a grant money, grant money more than $500,000 just disappear. That was aligned for Skagit Transit. And I would like the board to kind of take a look at that, why that indeed happened. So I hope to see some action on that. So that's it for me today. Thank you.
All right, anyone else here in person? Oh, go ahead, Colleen. If you want in public comment, you're welcome to do that. Yep.
I'm Colleen Kennedy. Some of the comments that I have is that some of the new positions that we've had recently is an executive assistant, ops manager, intern, administrative assistant, and now a project manager. I was told yesterday that the board had approved all of these positions. Can't find that anywhere in the minutes. If you have, wonderful. But a question that I have is why is so much help needed for the CEO when the agency hasn't really grown and we need all these new positions? Second concern is everything is being blamed on driver shortages. There is no driver shortage. The drivers are not being utilized appropriately. Technology requests. There's another request for technology in today's agenda. My feeling is that the technology that we already have needs to work, and it doesn't before money is invested. And also the technology request that is coming up today, the union has not seen at all. So I feel like that should be tabled. And again, continuing last month's minutes summary, there's a big difference between dissatisfaction with the current leadership and a vote of no confidence by the drivers. Laura specifically asked for a copy of my letter to be included in the minutes, yet it isn't included. That's it.
I'm going to correct you, Colleen. I did not say that the board approved the positions. I said that the executive director had the authority to shift job duties to existing positions. So they're not adding new FTE. They're taking us existing FTE and reassigning types of duties, which is reclassifying.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone online, you're welcome for public comment. We'll try and see if we can recognize you. If you want to state your name, comments around 3 minutes or so. Anyone for public comment online? You're welcome to put in the chat if you're having difficulty. Just want to make sure we don't miss anybody. Okay, moving on. Item 5 is consent agenda and action items, which is 5A and 5B. It is approval of the meeting minutes, claims, and payroll.
There we go.
Yes.
I'd actually like to, I realize how difficult it is to capture spoken words and in the minutes, but I just want to amend that I was not directing my comments at the union representative. I was directing my comments at the organization in general. So with that amendment, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda and action items.
I'll second that.
All right, so there's a motion by Mayor Miller, a second by Commissioner Wiesen. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, under the full discussion action items, item A is to approve the monthly budget update for June 2023. I'm gonna ask Crystal to go ahead on this.
Morning, everyone. Okay, I'll run through this really quickly. Our 2023 sales revenues are up slightly. We're just over $1.5 million. We had very few grant drawdowns in the month of June, just under $41,000. Our fair revenue for June of 2023, $70,447. That was just up slightly from May of 23. Number of capital expenses, as you can see, our ending cash balance is about $3.1 million. Our reserves, 5.2 in operating, 10.4 in facilities, 4.5 in capital replacement, 1.5 in non-designated, for a total of just under $22 million. And I want to point out that we don't have July's here because Clark Newber has not closed out July's yet. So that will be coming next month in the September board meeting. Staff recommends that the board approve the budget, the monthly budget report.
Questions for Crystal on this particular item? All right, we're looking for a motion for approve the monthly budget update report for June 2023.
Move to approve the budget update.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Right, motion by Commissioner Browning, second by Commissioner Wiesen. Any questions? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Again, if you have any questions about the way that Clark Newber is doing the assistance, please give Crystal a call directly. I'm sure she'd be happy to talk with you about it. All right, item 6B is the approval of a resolution 2023-05. This is the Skagit, the Transit Development Plan. I guess I'm turning it over to Brad.
Yes. No later than September 1st each year, transit agencies in Washington State are required to submit a 6-year transit development plan to the Washington State Department of Transportation. The public hearing is scheduled for the August 17th Board of Directors meeting, which is this meeting. Skagit Transit released a draft TDP for a 30-day public comment period on July 19th, 2023. No public comments were submitted on the draft. The Transit Development Plan identifies planned activities for the period of 2023 to 2028. Annual updates reflect changing funding realities, policy goals, and new opportunities. Projects must be listed in the Transit Development Plan to be eligible for state and federal grants. The recommendation from the staff is that the board approves Resolution 2023-05, adopting Skagit Transit's 6-year Transit Development Plan. And there is the program update will have no impact on the 2023 budget.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Any questions for Brad on this particular item? It's in
Can
your
I-
packet.
May I make a comment on that?
Please go ahead.
So I think I have spoken to several of the board members about the TDP, and when I was analyzing it, I noticed that it didn't have our reserves in there. So that document needs to be redone to reflect the reserves. Clark Newber actually drafted the financials in a TDP that you have in front of you. And they literally took the information that they have from last year and created a new document. So it wasn't until I was reviewing that I noticed that our reserves were not in there. So that is going to be revised to reflect our reserves so that it's not showing a negative balance across the bottom.
Right, so that's good to know. All right, any other questions on this particular document?
So the one we're approving is the electronic version. Okay.
That's correct.
Right, what's your pleasure? Would you like to move this to September to approve?
I move to approve the plan as presented.
Great, thank you.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wiesen, second by Mayor Miller. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you. Item 6C is the approval of purchase for 5 fixed route coaches. I'm turning this over to Greg, is here.
I apologize. When we started this section, I should have made a comment. We would like to remove 6. Should have brought my glasses. 6 C, and then add Judy Jones has a couple of new board members that she would like to add to the CAC. So we brought the amended or the document for that. So adding that, removing 6C, please.
All right, so we will go ahead and strike agenda item 6C, which is the approval of the purchase of 5 fixed route coaches. And do I have a motion to add a new agenda item, which would be 6J to regarding new CAC members? So moved. Thank you. Is there a second? Motion by Commissioner Janik, a second by Commissioner Wiesen to add that new item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on then to 6D. This is to approve an award 23-014 for construction of Marketplace Drive bus stop. And is who's taking this one? Aggie? All right, thanks.
This is the approval award 23-014 for construction of Marketplace Drive bus stop. Skagit Transit posted and published an invitation for bid 23-014 on May 26, 2023 for construction of the Marketplace Drive bus stop in Burlington, Washington. The project had an estimated construction cost range of $50,000 to $60,000. The advertisement was published in the Builders Exchange of Washington and the Skagit Valley Herald on May 26, 2023, in the main lobby at Skagit Station, lobby at MOA, and on Skagit Transit's website. Sealed bids were received and opened on June 20th, 2023 at Skagit Transit in Burlington, Washington. The only sealed bid was opened promptly in an in-person bid opening at 10 a.m. After completing the necessary procedures to check for responsiveness and responsibility, Skagit Transit determined that Interwest Construction Incorporated is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The lowest responsive bid is for $63,937. The recommendation is that the construction contract for the Marketplace Drive bus stop 23-014 be awarded to Interwest Construction Incorporated, the sole responsive and responsible bidder for the project.
Great, thanks, Aggie. Any questions about this particular item?
Move to approve.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
This is Julia. I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Browning, a second by Mayor Johnson. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6E is the approval of entering into an interlocal purchasing agreement with I'm not sure, how do I say that acronym? The Washington School Information Processing Cooperative. We'll just do that. All right. Is this Chris? On this
Yes.
item? Great. Go ahead, Chris.
Good morning, everyone. Staff desires to enter into an interlocal purchasing agreement
with the Washington School Information Processing Cooperative, the WSIPC. Despite WSIPC's primary catering to educational entities, there exists an extensive range of technology solutions can be beneficial for our agency. The goal of this agreement is to utilize their purchasing power to secure high-quality technology solutions and services at competitive pricing, therefore enhancing our resources and operational efficiency. The WSIPC offers a comprehensive portfolio of preferred vendor contacts, which can help Skagit Transit reduce procurement costs and improve overall efficiency. The products that we are interested in are Microsoft licensing, HP computers and servers, HPE computers and servers, DocuSign, Security Solutions Northwest, and Public Consultings Group. This arrangement, following the Interlocal Cooperation Act, which allows public agencies to cooperatively procure goods and services. In summary, entering an interlocal purchasing agreement with WSIPC presents an opportunity to enhance our operational efficiency. Each vendor who becomes part of the WSIPC purchasing program has been awarded a bid contract through the official RFP processes in Washington State. Staff recommends at this time the board approve the Skagit Transit to enter the interlocal purchasing agreement with WSIPC. This partnership can provide access and high quality technology solutions at competitive prices.
Sorry. Questions for Chris on this item? Go ahead, please, Ron.
How much do you think you're gonna save on this with this new? Any idea?
No, it's hard to tell. Like any vendor that we get with an interlocal agreement, we go with state contract pricing. If the project is a really large project, we'll go out to say several vendors that are on state contract. And once in a while, we do see a little like discount from one vendor between another on state contract pricing. So it's hard to tell.
I would assume, Chris, this actually saves time
What's that?
in procurement.
Yes, it does.
So,
Yep.
all right, great. All right, any other questions for Chris on this? And what is your pleasure?
Joe,
Mhm.
I move to approve Skagit Transit enter interlocal purchasing agreement with WSIPC.
Thank you.
Commissioner Browning, second.
Let's see. I heard a motion by Mayor Miller and a second by Commissioner Janicki. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. 6F is the approval of the federal fiscal year 2023 FTA Areas of Persistent Poverty Funding Award. And I'm going to Crystal on this one.
These funds will assist in developing an operational plan for implementing microtransit services in 2 areas. Given the rural nature and sections of the county, as well as the geographic features such as hills, ridges, bodies of waters, etc., it can be difficult to efficiently service parts of Skagit County with fixed route service. Many transit agencies around the nation are starting to deploy microtransit service in their areas too. Staff has identified 2 areas for this study, Fidalgo Island and the northwest section of the county, which is northwest of Highway 20, north of Highway 20, west of I-5. The overall goal of this project will be to develop the general operating parameters, budgets, and supporting policies necessary to operate microtransit service in these areas. The development of the operational plan will be done in such a way that it can be replicated in other parts of Skagit County if needed. And this is a 80-20 grant, cost share grant, 20% hours, $20,000. We will be using local funds for that match. Staff recommends the board approve the grants, project and funding, and authorize the CEO to execute the grant agreement.
Great. Thank you, Crystal. I want to make it also very clear. This is a study. This is not a decision of microtransit. There is a process to add any type of new service, including discussions with our labor group. This is simply a study.
Correct, which will be done in conjunction with the comprehensive operational analysis and the regional transit study.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Crystal on this? Yes, please, go ahead.
Just, can you remind me of our cancellation policy on how much passengers we need to have to keep a route going? We did have Fidalgo at one time. We had something going on there. I don't know, Brad, you worked on that, or
The cancellation policy in terms of what?
how much passengers have to be on the transit route before we keep it going or when we decide it's not economical to keep going?
So our fixed route performance standards,
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. the
right,
standards.
we're kind of, sorry, we're kind of set aside by the COVID epidemic. And we're kind of waiting till we get beyond this side because the service standards are set up to compare you to the prior year. And at this point, we're still comparing ourselves to COVID years when we had really low ridership. So everything is going to look artificially negative. But there are standards in place and we can certainly revisit those and try to find a way to apply them. The previous project that was going was a pilot project that was done in 2016. It was a 6-month pilot project operating in a small section of Fidalgo Island. And that was an on-demand. It was 2 days a week. And then there was like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So microtransit, the way it's being operated by transit now, it has in general a much wider span. It'll usually, similar to fixed route, start at say 6 or 7 in the morning, go until 6 to 9 o'clock at night. And you know, the reservations are set up differently. So the hope is that if we have a larger service area, and based on some of the groundwork done by the other agencies, one of the things we're going to ask our consultants about on this is to look at the best practices for others that have done this successfully. I'm also on the statewide committee for microtransit services, so I sit on those bi-monthly and kind of hear what is working for others and what's not. So we'll start incorporating that stuff into the study and see if this is a direction we want to go. But it'll be a little bit different than what we operated as a pilot project.
Thank you very much for that. I remember we had something and I couldn't remember what it was. So thank you.
Any other questions on this particular grant? All right, well, I'll ask for a motion, but I did want to also reiterate on the record that this idea did not come from the CEO. This was actually board asking for information, experience, even during the interview process for the CEO on this type of service. I actually brought it up to our former CEO in 2017. There were pilots happening in the state. I think it was in Pierce County. So it's been something that the board has discussed in different terms for many years. So I wanted to at least have that on the record.
And Madam Chair,
Yep.
This was something that the Community Advisory Committee had also asked staff, you know, to keep an eye on because they have seen it and used it in other locations and they wanted to know if it could ever come to Skagit County.
Thank you, Brad, for that. All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the grant for the study.
This is Mayor Johnson. I'll make that motion to approve the grant for the study.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, Mayor, motion by Mayor Johnson, a second by Commissioner Browning. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6G is a request to approve Remix software expansion. And this is Brad, not Chris.
Good morning. For several years, Skagit Transit has been utilizing a software package from the vendor Remix. This software merges census data with our fixed route services. It enables us to make sure that our services are being provided to the various segments of the population that need it most. Staff would like to purchase an additional module of the Remix software package. The scheduling platform expansion would allow us to modernize our processes for building bus driver schedules. This will simplify the development of operator shifts and make it easier to build efficiencies into our bid routes. This software is a sole source purchase as it is an expansion of a proprietary software system. This system allows for unlimited users within our agency. This would be a 5-year contract at an average annual cost of $18,918. The exact cost will vary by year and will be included in the respective annual budget for which it is to be paid. The expense for this year will cover the one-time implementation fee and a prorated amount to cover the remaining 4 months of the year. Purchasing this software will allow us to complete implementation in time for our January service change. Staff recommends the board approve the purchase of the Remix scheduling software expansion. The budget impact. The 2023 cost to purchase this software is $15,944, which includes a $9,000 implementation fee. The 2024 budget will include the annual licensing payments for that year.
All right, questions for Brad on this particular item? Go ahead, Ron.
How often do you expect the agency to use it? You said unlimited number of users, so once a week, once a month, or how often?
So I use it quite a bit for the demographic side, where that's where we can look up things like people without cars, minorities, senior citizens, make sure that our services go by them. So from that perspective, we've used it quite a bit. For the scheduling platform, we do anywhere from 3 to 4 major service changes a year, depending on exactly what's going on. And that's when the driver shifts may change or be adjusted. And then occasionally there is the need for mini bids or things like that, where, if we have some sort of change in the driver seniority where we have to go back out, this may also get used for that, but, may use the existing bid.
Questions? Go ahead. Okay, sure.
Yeah, just a couple questions. So this is like an add-on to the Remix software in order to do the scheduling. So what software are we using right now to do scheduling? Or is it an Excel sheet or?
It's pretty much Excel.
Oh, well, I'm always into moving out of Excel hell. It's just, that part is good. The fact that this is a sole source purchase, is there other action required by the board to first approve a sole source purchase, or is that embedded into this motion resolution?
We have to fill out a certain amount of paperwork with the procurement, but I don't think there's additional action by the board, is there?
Not at this time, I think.
Not at this time.
We'll double check for you.
Or let's,
feel
I feel like we have to, perhaps just, I'd be happy to make the motion that we approve both the sole source purchase or approve the sole source purchase of the Remix scheduling platform expansion.
Second that.
All right, so motion by Commissioner Janik, second by Commissioner Browning. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Before we move on, though, in light of some of the concerns raised around technology, I would like to ask the staff to prepare just an overview of the technology that we use within our operations as a board presentation. It can be September or October board meeting. I think I do this for our city council occasionally. So if we have just an overview of what the software is, what it's used for, and then the annual cost. I think a lot of people are surprised about annual costs of technology, but when you pair it with the amount of time it saves, it's actually a win-win. So if we could do that, I think that would be great. Good information for the board. So just let us know if September or October works better. Okay. All right, thank you. Going on then to item 6H. 6H is the request to approve security video systems policy, and this is Chris.
Good morning again. We're happy to present the finalized security video system policy for your review and approval. The comprehensive policy 030300 governs the implementation and utilization and management of video surveillance systems across Skagit Transit properties. The policy underscores our commitment to safeguarding privacy, safety, and mitigating potential risks associated with sensitive data exposure. It delineates protocols for camera placement, audio recording, triggering video reviewing, accessing recorded footage, and adhering to legal mandates. The key highlights are cameras will be strategically positioned in public spaces to enhance security and deter unlawful activities. However, they will not be installed in private offices or restrooms. Audio recording will be confined to specific locations with predominantly displayed signage. Instances necessitating video data review encompassing vehicular accidents, complaints, law enforcement requests, public records requests, and credible suspicions. A streamlined process for including mandatory form completions governs access and utilization of recorded footage. The policy outlines a method for replacing Bus Apollo DVR drives, their periodic swapping relevant to relevant conditions and monitored information. Complying with Washington state regulations, the policy mandates secure retention of recorded data for up to 7 years. The policy aligns with collective bargaining agreements, or our CBAs, of our drivers and dispatchers. Today, the staff kindly requests for your formal approval of the security video systems policy.
Right, Chris, just before I ask for questions, was this reviewed by our risk pool? What our risk pool, like, is it with, I forgot the acronym. Our insurance pool, sometimes we have that just reviewed to ensure that it complies with their expectations.
Okay.
Any questions from the board on this? Yes, Colleen, please. Fair request.
Very fair.
Right. With that as a request from our bargaining unit, I would just recommend that the board table this item for action until the next board meeting. Is that fair? All right. And then that way, please bring back anything that our insurance risk pool says to add.
Will
Okay.
do.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, moving on. Seeing that it's 11:37, we do have an exec session. I think what I'd like to do is like to skip item 6I for the moment. Let's do item 6J as the action item, and then I'm gonna actually have us call and break for exec session after that and come back to the informational items. So going on to item 6J, it was a request for new CAC members. You have a paper handout in front of you. I'll ask Brad to introduce the item, and then I'll have Judy Jones give any of her comment on it as well. So Brad first, please.
The Skagit Transit Community Advisory Committee has received new applications for membership. The CAC has met with the candidates and is recommending the following citizens be approved to be CAC members: Madeline Hanslick and Monette Parton. At its August meeting, the CAC moved to recommend approval of these applications for new members. Staff recommends approving the new members.
Thank you, Brad. Judy, would you like to comment on the folks you're recommending for approval to these positions? Don't want to put you on the spot, but I thought I'd give you a chance. All right. Brad, that did go to a vote of the current members though, so they're asking for this.
And it was unanimous approval.
Awesome, thank you. All right, questions from the board on this? All right, what's your pleasure?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I move to approve the 2 additions to the Community Advisory Committee.
thank you.
This is Mayor Johnson. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll do a motion by Mayor Miller and a second by Mayor Johnson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, at this time, I'd like to invite the board to meet in executive session to discuss with legal counsel regarding agency enforcement actions, litigation, or potential litigation to which the city, the governing body or member the agency, governing body or member acting in official capacity is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency pursuant to RCW 42.30.110. We will meet in executive session for 30 minutes, starting at 11:41 and resuming session back at 12:10, 12:11. No final action assumed to be taken. With that, we'll adjourn into executive session at this time. Still do have one, I think I announced for 12:11. Was that correct? So we're gonna wait until 12:11, so we have another minute. session as announced. We're going back into item 6I, which is FTE and project manager proposal, and that's Crystal. Go ahead.
After reviewing current and pending projects that Skagit Transit is paying contractors to manage, we have determined that it would be more cost efficient to hire a full-time project manager to manage these projects. Additionally, the project manager would be able to increase productivity, provide leadership and direction to our projects, and make decisions that are in the best interest of our agency. The project manager will provide best practices relating to requirements and decision-making in the areas of transit service facilities, wayfinding, and vehicles. The subject matter expert will have the skill set to provide project management, engineering oversight, and cost benefit analysis. And something else that's not included on here is I recently found out that most of our bus stops are not ADA compliant. The project manager would also be able to take on that role as well. The budget impact would be $49,857 approximately for the remainder of this year, and that includes salary and benefits. And the projected cost for this position would be just under $200,000 for 2024 and forward. Staff recommends the board approve one full-time position for a project manager.
Crystal, I'll open up for questions of the board. Do you anticipate that this would take the place of current contracted project management for MOA2?
Yeah, that's the plan. So we paid them over $450,000 so far, and they want another approximately $400,000 to $450,000 just to finish phase 1.
Okay, questions for Crystal on this? Discussion of the board, please.
I've got a question. So is that a direct dollar offset? Or how can you show that to the board that that's a direct? So are we going to save $400,000 over, because you're asking the board for $49,000 for 2023, and then whatever the salary is for 2024. How are we going to see that that's a direct offset of the contract that we're going to save $400,000? Because if that's the case, I'm in.
Right, that's a good question.
Right.
So we have not actually signed a new contract with KBA. We're out of contract with them, and we haven't paid them obviously up to this point. We're a couple of months out of contract with them because I'm still in negotiations with them on some of the costs that they're trying to charge us for. I am trying to get them under a contract, or get the contract renewed rather, to take us through the end of 2023, because I don't know how long it would take to recruit and hire a project manager. So then that would be a cost savings of probably at least $200,000 just on MOA2 for next year, for 2023. In addition to that, we have a couple of other projects that we were working on, or I've actually tabled those for now. We wanted to remodel the coffee area at Skagit Station to be a driver's room and add a bathroom. The project management portion alone for that, the cost estimate came back at over $300,000. Plus Kimley Horn has been managing our bus stop projects, and they would take over that they were oversight as well.
Well, that's all good. But I said I'm in, but I'm not 100. I'm even with all that information, I'm not 100% in, because FTEs are forever in government. I say this all the time to my staff, and I always challenge my directors, like, okay, well, what are you doing as far as managing this project? And I think that challenge might be to Aggie. And that's what you need to show, that offset of what is your capacity to be able to manage these projects. Like ADA, yeah, we know we need ADA. But what is it bringing an additional FTE going to do?
Well, right now, we don't have the proper training in our department to oversee the ADA. So the hope is that if we were to hire an FTE as a project manager, that person would have the proper credentials to do that. To do it in-house, there's a cost to it, there's travel to it, there's testing to it that would pull 1 or 2 staff from my department to get the proper training for that. So then that pulls them off of the projects and stuff also.
Or the other thing is you contract with somebody, and you say, when you build this, you need to make this ADA compliant. And that's what you pay for, right?
Yes.
Is this any more complicated than that?
No, not really. I mean, we just need to make sure when we're doing something that, when we're ordering bus shelters, when we're putting in concrete pads, that it's all compliant.
I think I need a little more time on this one before I'm ready to support this. just as one board member.
And I want to make something clear. So he's talking about, when he's talking about the certification, he's talking about ADA certification. That's about a 6-month process, and I don't have an issue sending some of our staff to get ADA certified. But what I'm looking at is more specific, like someone that has an engineering background that can really help us manage, especially MOA too, because I don't feel like we're getting the best.
So there's no PE on staff at Skagit? There's no, okay, just making sure.
Professional engineering.
Sorry.
Right, no, and that's exactly what I'm looking for, that someone that has a background in engineering.
But not necessarily a PE. Again, there are trade-offs to that. We've gone without a PE for a year and a half. In the city of Anacortes, now we have one on. So there are trade-offs with how you contract with and without a PE. So that's something more that, again, I'm not ready to get behind this today, but certainly something I'm interested in.
Mayor Sexton, do you have something? Sorry.
I'm just wondering, the ADA compliance on the stops and things like that, isn't that something that, I mean, when you contract out with someone to fix those, isn't that where the ADA compliance certification would come in? Does it need to be someone? I just don't know that I'm not seeing how Skagit Transit needs to have an ADA compliant engineering staff on our staff to do that. Does that make sense? I mean, like when the cities go out for ADA compliance with obviously we have engineering, but our ADA ramps and things like that. This seems like a hell of a lot of money to do that. I'll just say it.
It sounds to me that maybe we'd like kind of a little white paper from staff on here is the exact projects to be worked on, some of the hours spent. I think, like Kevin Murphy was talking, how he allocates per quarter, those things. I think that work could be done and brought back to the board prior to a decision. Does that sound like it'd be helpful?
Yeah, let me broaden that thought process a little bit too. Knowing that Clark Nuber is doing financial analysis, part of this is having an in-house project manager. There's an expectation that we're talking about it as if their salary will be and benefits would be 100% capitalized to construction projects. In reality, there's probably some level of admin, the training, there's some breakout of that. I think the numbers are still going to be really favorable. But to the point of, Mayor Miller's concern about having a, forever employee, it would be nice to see a multi-year look at how that salary and cost would be allocated to various projects, because there's a sense of what construction projects are going way beyond just ADA compliance, and how we'd be able to allocate a project manager across those projects. What portion would be left to admin, which would be increased operating budget. But overall, I think it's going to be a significant savings. I think this is the right direction. I think we could demonstrate it more clearly, and with the amount of construction capital already sitting in a pool just waiting for full deployment, I think you'll be able to show it. My kind of hesitancy is there's a certain element of unrest and messiness within the org structure right now. I'm not sure in recruiting someone I'd like to have more certainty as to where we're going forward and how we're going forward with some pieces, perhaps before that PM comes in fairness to a new high-level employee. So let's take some time to do the analysis that's being asked for the long term. This would be, I think, a great addition in the long run. But I think sitting here in August, we should take a moment to breathe and maybe look at this again in September.
Fair enough. We can certainly put that together for the next board meeting.
Is that acceptable? All right. Commissioner Browning, yes. Mayor Johnson, do you concur?
I do concur.
Okay.
And actually, Mayor Miller asked the question that I was going to ask.
Okay, great. All right, we're going to go ahead and just table that until come back in September with that item. And if the clerk could note that Mayor Miller has departed about 12:17, that's great. All right. It is 12:22 or so. I would like, if the board is amenable, we'll keep going and try and get through some of the informational items. Is that okay? All right, let's keep going then. Informational items, financial update. This is Crystal.
Yep, I'll try to be brief. As Mayor Boudreaux said, we have hired Clark, in light of our situation, we have hired accounting firm Clark Newber to assist us with managing our finances. They have already identified a number of issues that need to be corrected for this year. They will provide a full report and action plan once they have completed their analysis. They are also assisting in our day-to-day financial operations and have taken on many of the duties that the former employee that we had on contract was doing since her contract ended in July. I already said that they haven't closed out or completed our financials for July yet, so we'll have those in the September board meeting. We do have interviews for the accounting manager position this Friday and are hopeful that we will find a candidate. Clark Newber and Commissioner Janicki will be sitting on that panel. Also, our annual state audit begins August 21st. Our Clark Newber team and I have already met with our auditors and explained our situation to them. They assured us that we are not the first agency to be in this situation and stated that they will work closely with us to have a successful audit. They have already provided a list of documents that they need for the audit, and we have already begun to upload the requested documents into their portal. They anticipate the audit to take 4 to 6 weeks to complete.
Any questions for Crystal on that? Okay. Thank you. We'll go 7B is the MOA2 update.
An RFQ went out at the end of July to find an architect to complete the design for phases 2 and 3. We anticipate bringing that to the board in October for approval and being able to award that contract in November. Our current architect did not participate in the RFQ process. We are still on track to complete phase 1 in May of 2023.
Questions for Crystal on that? If you want a tour, I'm sure she would be happy to take you out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're seeing some progress. It's exciting.
All right. 7C, operations update.
We are canceling work almost on a daily basis. We do have a class of 6 that is scheduled to graduate in the next 3 to 4 weeks and are starting another class of 3 to 5 in October, depending on our attrition. We will be fully staffed up in October after that class graduates.
Okay. Due to just some concerns raised in September, could you just prepare for the board how, when we have shortages, how we fill them, and how we decide on route cancellations? Great, thank you. All right, any questions on operations for Crystal? Okay, item 7D.
Our FTA drug and alcohol policy, as you guys recall, we were audited. We were FTA audited for drug and alcohol last month. I think it was 2 months ago. We had to make some minor changes to our policy as a result of the FTA audit. We are presenting, and you guys got it in your board packet, the revised policy today for your 30-day review, and we will ask the board to approve the policy next month if no changes are recommended. The revised policy is due to the FTA by October 11th.
Okay. Any questions for Crystal? All right, moving on.
Mayor
Oh,
Boudreaux.
sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Wiesen.
Mayor Boudreaux,
Yeah. Go ahead.
on that drug and alcohol, did the risk pool get to look at that one yet, or have they?
We haven't sent the revised policy to them, but it was honestly some very minor changes. Like, for example, we had security in the random pool, and I'm happy to send that to them, but the changes were very minor.
Thank you.
All right, 7E, Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan Update. It's in our packet, page 16.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay,
So this deals with our annual update and review of the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, or PTAS, that's required by the FTA. In the interest of brevity, I'll skip the historical notes in the content of there. This update this year dealt basically with changes in staff and titles. There were no changes to the safety performance targets. So as you may recall, last year, due to the bipartisan infrastructure law changes, the plan was required to be developed in conjunction with the representatives of frontline employees. So it was presented to the Skagit Transit Safety Committee last year, which included 4 drivers, including 1 representative from our labor group. There were no recommended changes from that group. So At this time, we're just requesting that the board review the public transportation agency safety plan document in anticipation of approval at the next board meeting in September.
Right. Any questions for Joe on this? It is going to be for next month. And so just kind of awareness that the document is there to review. Is that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Joe? All right. 7F is our CAC report. It is in the packet. I'm not sure if Judy is still.
Judy just wanted to let me know, or
Okay.
let everyone know that in the interest of brevity, that the written report is there and she's available for questions.
All right. Any questions for Judy on the written report? Okay, moving on. Thank you, Judy, for that. 7G.
No
please.
problem. I wanted to thank the board also for voting in the new members. I was having technical difficulties earlier, so I couldn't respond, but I wanted to thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you, Judy. All right, 7G ridership report. Is this Brad?
Yes,
Yes.
our July performance report is in the board packet. We had another good month where we were up 10.6% for the month over July of 2022. Pending your questions, that'll be our report.
Any questions for Brad on the ridership report? Mayor Sexton, do you have? Okay. All right. That concludes our agenda items. We've got a lot of work to do for September, so thank you to the staff for all of that. As seeing that there is nothing. Oh, yes, question, Colleen.
Question about the information items that were sent out, and especially the delay in service for the 615.
Sorry, can you say that again, Colleen? I couldn't hear you.
This was an email that was sent out to the board, I guess, from after the last board meeting.
What was the title? I started the title of it.
2023.
I can speak to that if you don't mind.
Okay, Crystal, go ahead.
But we were scheduled to have some service changes this month, actually in August. Because we have route cancellations almost every single day, we opted to delay those for the until January of 2024, when we're going to be fully staffed up. I think that's what she's talking about.
What's your question,
Well, my
Colleen?
question was,
Give her a microphone
Yeah.
so Zoom can hear.
my question about postponing the 615 service, I could be wrong, but I thought that there was grant money allotted or given to Skagit Transit, and I wonder what impact from the tribe for that to happen. And then also I am wondering, what about all of the new rider guides that are already printed that are saying this is implemented? What's going to happen? That's a big financial. I mean, I believe we have like 2 pallets of rider guides that say the 615 has been changed. So
Those
how is that
questions
gonna
would be directed at me. So
Okay,
the-
go ahead, Crystal.
the first question is, no, we did not get grant money from a tribe. We got federal funding from that, and we have reduced the grant accordingly. That's an operational grant, so it's a 50-50 grant. So we're actually saving the 50% of that for August through the end of the year. And then to answer your second question, staff has already purchased stickers that we're just covering up. We're using the same rider guides, and we're covering up the service changes that were supposed to take place in August. So, and then the existing rider guides, we're not doing that with all of them. The rest of the rider guides we will use for next year.
It's always tough when we print things. I'm assuming though that on the website, all of the updates are current for anyone.
Yes, we have done outreach to our passengers.
Okay, Colleen, does that answer the questions you had? All right, thank you. All right. So we've got a big meeting today. Thank you for the patience for staff. And then we will then be back at our regularly scheduled meeting in September. So with that, we'll be adjourned at 12:30. Oh, sorry, Ron.